Hello. Hello, and welcome to the NAMIC Leadership Seminar graduation for November 2022 cohort. We are delighted and grateful that you would take the time to join us as we celebrate 16 phenomenal individuals who have done some incredible work, not only over the last few days, but the last month when we officially kicked off this session. I am Dr. Juanita Daly, and I have the immense privilege of serving as the lead facilitator for this session. It is my practice to begin with gratitude, so please allow me a moment to express my personal thanks as we get underway. This cohort heard from several remarkable speakers, some of whom are joining us today. So thank you to Ms. Tina Dyer, Dr. Martha Miller, Mr. John Kabara, and Dr. Jeffrey Robinson for your deposit of knowledge, wisdom, and inspiration. An undertaking like this requires organizational expertise, as well as a genuine spirit of excellence and service. So it is with deep appreciation that I acknowledge the tireless work of Ms. Stephanie Snyder, who kept the seminar running smoothly. Thank you so much, Stephanie. This leadership seminar would not be what it was without the enthusiastic participation of our graduates here today. I want to thank you for your energy, your vulnerability, your humility, and your generosity as you work together. Your presence made this seminar what it was, especially as you supported and celebrated one another. And speaking of celebrating, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge a few of our cohort members who shared significant life experiences with our group. So congratulations to Alex, who started a new position this coming Monday. And I believe Sandeep celebrated his 15th anniversary, work anniversary, also on Monday here with us. Also, Mimi just passed the bar. So congratulations for that. And lastly, Claude is getting married in 2 weeks. So we wanted to extend our warm well wishes to him as well. As you can tell, we know all about each other. So that just shows you just how tight this group was. We are so happy for all of you. Shortly, we're actually going to hear from some of you who represent the cohort by sharing your experiences and some of your lessons learned. And afterwards, we're going to acknowledge all of our graduates and present a few of you with some special awards before we conclude our time today. And as I conclude, I want to thank the National Association for Multi-Ethnicity in Communications, NAMIC, for their steadfast commitment to educating, advocating, empowering, and leading the charge and the change for multi-ethnic diversity in the communications industry. This in part is due to the amazing work of exceptionally talented warriors like Anne-Marie Barton and Amy Kemp, who I am pleased to introduce and hand the program over to. Amy.
Thank you so much, Dr. Daly. And I am just so proud. I'm thrilled, in fact, to get to offer my welcome to everyone that's here. I am the Programs Associate for NAMIC, and I have so enjoyed this week and so enjoyed meeting these 16 graduates, sharing with them some very personal space and acknowledging that they took immense time and a lot of care to show up daily and bring their whole selves into these little squares where we learn so much about them. It has been my honor to be a part of that. And so for each of them, I share my thanks. I also want to thank BCT partners and Dr. Daly. Thank you so much for your warm welcome. You do such a good job of sharing your gratitude with everyone and acknowledging folks. And so thank you for just doing that so very diligently. And I appreciate that you have done so today to kick this off in such a special way. I also want to thank all of our partnering companies. I know that several are represented here today, and that thrills me because this gives you the window into what we talk about when we talk about the programs that NAMIC brings to all of the participants that you've seen here and countless others as well. They will now join our alumni ranks, and we are so excited for that. I want to thank you as friends and family for being here and supporting these graduates and what they have accomplished this week. And I want to thank my NAMIC colleagues as well for giving me the space to do this job this week and for allowing me to grow as a professional and to be here in this moment to welcome all of you into this space as well. I want to give a charge to the graduates that stems from something that I heard just this week. And I love it when pieces come together so that when things that I share mean so much more to me because they were personal. So this week, I listened to a podcast from one of my favorite authors and speakers. And he talked about a time when he and his young son at the time were in the bathroom together as he was shaving, and he puts shaving cream on his face and his young son is beside him and they view one another through the mirror. And the son says to his dad, "Dad, you are everything that I want to become." I will tell you that the speaker had to pause because as he relayed that conversation, he was looking at his son, who at the time was about 30 years old. Several years had passed. And he told this about that mirror story. He said, "You know, my son and I didn't need to actually turn and look at one another because the mirror provided us that two-way look at each other." And I thought to myself, well, what do I see when I look in a mirror? Well, the simple answer is I see myself, even on Zoom screens, because I'm spotlighted right now. I'm looking at myself in a mirror. I look at myself. What else do you mean you see in a mirror? But as the speaker continued, it reminded me of this session because he not only saw himself in that reflection, he saw his son. He saw the folks that were coming behind him. And I thought about the way that others see us, and Dr. Daly using the standout assessment to tell us about how others see us and unpacking that for ourselves. And then I thought, you know, that's not all I see when I see the mirror, because you may notice I have some frown lines on my forehead. That's my father and me. We share that. And I think, you know, we not only see ourselves, we not only see those around us and those that are coming in the future, but we also see our past, our ancestry, how we got to where we are. And I think that's what John Campara was telling us as well, that we represent something, and how we pull that off, how we bring that with us is very important to how we conduct ourselves professionally and personally. So here's what I would like the graduates to consider. This week, NAMIC has hung the mirror. That's what we did. We put it in front of you. And maybe we gave you some lenses to look at the reflection there just a bit differently than you had before. I hope that what you will do is walk away and see the picture much broader than you have before. It's not just about you. Yeah, there may be some adjustments necessary. Maybe there's a hair out of place. Maybe you didn't do your makeup just right this morning. Maybe you do need those kinds of adjustments. But maybe the adjustments are in looking at who's coming behind you or who you represent. And I hope that that is something that you can take with you as you think about all that you have been exposed to this week. It has been a journey in only 5 days' time. And I am thankful that you let me walk on that journey with you. Thanks so much. Dr. Daly, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Amy, for those wonderful words of inspiration. I got chills, so thank you so much for sharing that. It is now time for us to move into our class speakers, and I'd like to introduce, and then we'll go in this order, Antonio Becerra, Michael Odofin, and Lolita Owens. And so, Antonio, please share with us your experiences for representing your group for this week.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the opportunity today. So I'm humbled and privileged to speak on behalf of my group. When we started this journey, we were like wide-eyed freshmen, excited, a little unsure about the journey. Some of us found our lockers or the promote site, and some of us struggled, right? But with our standout assessments in hand, we embarked on our journey. Day 2, our sophomore year, we started to make some friends, open up to each other, right? The power of networking really opened up our world, and we started to appreciate the greatness in the room. Then day 3, right? I liken that to our junior year. We learned to listen. There was such power there. And once we thought we knew it all, we got to our senior year day, and John flipped our world upside down by challenging us to know the road ahead and listen to those coming back. And he really asked ourselves, what is our passion? The possibilities, while scary and dare I say unnerving, was so empowering. So as we stand here, ready to turn for the turning of our tassel, I wanted to acknowledge my T group. And as I read from my NAMIC Leadership Yearbook, I've got some of my own awards to share. So voted most likely to have her art displayed at the Louvre, much like the great Michelangelo, Jill can see the sculpture within the marble. Her questions and curiosity chiseled away at the superfluous material. Next, I move on to someone who got voted most likely to get lost at Disney World. He'd probably end up winning an award for riding the most rides and add another medal to his collection. Ralphie's ability to call it like he sees it made the group conversation so natural, as he would break the ice no matter what the topic. The ability to push and propel others forward is such a gift. Now, voted most likely to become a Supreme Court justice is our very own Mimi. Her ability to sit in a group that was not afraid to voice our opinion, listen, assess, in a few words, really give the ability of her incredibly thoughtful and profound point of view was special. One day I'll be watching her on TV with an achievement celebrated, and I'll be able to point to the TV and say, I know her. And finally, voted most likely to win a Nobel Prize is Alex. His care for others comes through in every conversation. He shared of himself and built trust so that others could feel heard. His humility is always on display. And he jumped in and said, hey, let me take a stab at that, and always proceeded to amaze us with his phenomenal ability and perspective. On that note, I was surprised to be standing here having this conversation as I was voted most likely to blurt something out inappropriate. With that said, I'm filled with honor, emotion, as I think about the people and the incredible journey that this has been. As Hunter Thompson said, wow, what a ride.
Thank you so much, Antonio. Michael.
Thank you, Antonio, and thank you, Dr. Daly. So, honored guests, I'd like to discuss gratitude. Gratitude played a pivotal role in our experience with the NAMIC Leadership Program. I'd like to express gratitude to those who encouraged us, nominated us, and voluntold us to join this company. You planted seeds and saw something in us that we might not see within ourselves. I'd like to express gratitude to our daily facilitators, Amy Kemp, Stephanie Snyder, and Dr. Daly. They welcomed us with open arms, a smile, and challenged us to dance when no one was watching, even though everyone had their cameras on. I'd like to express gratitude to our coaching facilitators, Dr. Robinson, Tina Dyer, Dr. Miller, and John Cabrera. You watered us with your wells of knowledge. These gems are invaluable and will stick with us for the rest of our careers. I'd like to express gratitude to our cohort and my T group. Like a fence, we created a safe space to communicate, challenge, express our vulnerabilities, and lean into one another. Last but certainly not least, I'd like to express gratitude to all of our family, friends, colleagues, and mentors. Who else would we want to celebrate with than those who have always been in our corner? This week has been filled with tiny tweaks of self-reflection. As we go on our separate paths, I, as well as my amazing cohort, look forward to those big changes and lifelong champions. This week, we learned to listen, trust, engage, network, and be comfortable in knowing that we don't need to be perfect. This has been a life-changing experience that we will hold on to dearly. To my phenomenal cohort, we made it. We've built new connections with one another, but most importantly, a better connection with ourselves. We've always been inspirational leaders. Now we have the tools and the resources to create new ones. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michael. Last but certainly not least, Lolita.
Good afternoon, respected NAMIC teachers, administrators, esteemed corporate leaders, colleagues, families, and friends, as well as the 16 NAMIC November seminar graduates. I am Lolita Owens, Product Sales and Analytics Manager at Comcast. I have the pleasure of representing my T, AKA Talk, Engage, and Align group, consisting of the 5 fabulous members of Rayleigh Reedhead, Business Development Supervisor at Comcast, Roger Chow, Counsel at A&E, Monica Quijada, Market Development Manager at Comcast, Claude Lucas, Content Strategy and Programming at AMC, and myself, Comcast. We had an amazing learning journey this week and would like to share a few of our key learning takeaways. I'm going to challenge each and every one of you to wake up to be seen, rise up and embrace all that you are, show up and adapt to be your best, to become all you can be. Thank you, NAMIC, for such a transformational experience, as all the lessons and experiences this week have deeply enriched our knowledge and equipped us to bravely face the ever-changing challenges in the workforce, as well as our career journeys. We now have a new arsenal of tools, resources, best practices, and newly formed professional connections. I want to leave everyone with the words of a very wise man, Dr. Cabrera. Don't settle for a little life. Fill it with purpose and meaning. And that is what we have all learned this week here in our NAMIC seminar. Again, thank you, NAMIC, BCT partners, Comcast, and all the corporate sponsors represented here today for this amazing opportunity. Back to you, Dr. Daly.
Thank you so much, Lolita. And thank you to all of our speakers. And as Lolita talked about, at the end of every day, groups would meet to talk, engage, and align on the subject matter that was presented that day. And so what you heard from each speaker was a representation of each of those groups on how the days spent together have impacted them. And so without further ado, you've heard from 3 of our speakers, you've heard about a lot of everyone who was here, but let's take a moment and just celebrate all of our speakers, all of our cohort with our graduation march.
Yeah.
Once again, thank you so much and congratulations, everyone. At this time, I'm going to turn our program back over to Amy Kemp because we have a few special recognitions that we'd like to bestow. Amy.
Absolutely. And I love doing this. I told the cohort earlier this week that there was a gentleman in my past who one time said, it's awfully nice to be sneaked up on. And so what we tried to do this week was recognize cohort members that maybe stood out just a little bit for things said or the way they conducted themselves. And these are more fun than anything else. But at the same time, we just want to pat on the back some individual people within the November cohort. The first award I want to give, I'm going to call the Catalyst Award. Now, I will say that how do I say this kindly? Have you ever been to a parent-teacher conference and you yourself are a teacher, and so you can read through the speak that's being said about your child? When I say that this individual was the Catalyst Award, she brought it all to the day, every single day, and it made it better for everyone. And she was, in that way, the life of the party. Now, we didn't tell her she was the life of the party. We'll call her the catalyst. But nonetheless, we are so thankful to have met Miriam. You have been so wonderful this week. Thank you so much for sharing your energy. The next award I'm going to give, I'm going to call the Leader of the Pack Award. This individual showed up on day one, displaying in the background the medals that he had won from various races that he'd been a part of. And then I believe it was day two where he told us he'd already been out at 5:30 a.m. And I can't remember at this point how many miles he'd run by then, but without any hesitation, I am here to tell you that Ralphie was our leader of the pack. So thank you for being that one that was out in front and ready to show us the way. And then sometimes there are people who in their professional lives hold the very title for which they deserve an award. And so we thought about how do we name this award? Well, we'll just look at her professional title. She's a dynamic director, and she brought that to the table every day. So I want to thank Alicia for being so dynamic and directing us so well with all of your smiles and your energy and being a part of this cohort. And then there are those who persevere beyond all things thrown at them, whether that be sickness or a dog at your feet or other things that might have taken away from the experience as a whole, but you would never know it because Monica persevered through everything this week. And we are so thankful that you did. Thank you so much for persevering. I have one other award to give, and I will be very honest in that while this was the hardest to name, it was also the easiest to observe. We like to give what we call the High Five Award. And I can tell you that it was so hard because every one of you were so beautifully connected to one another. The chat messages, the kudos, the thank yous, the heartfelt, I feel that for you. Thank you for sharing it. Thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for your humility. We heard it over and over and over again. And while it was hard to name, it was easy all at the same time. So for the entire cohort, thank you for being the High Five Award winners. We appreciate all of you. To close the ceremony today, I am so honored to be able to hand the baton to Anne-Marie Burton, who is NAMIC's Chief of Strategy and Programs. Anne-Marie, would you drive this home?
Oh, wow. Thank you, everyone. I'm not normally lost for words, but I am today, because what more can I say to our partners, to the outstanding faculty, to the cohort that's just been so impressive. Thank you for entrusting NAMIC with your professional journey. Thank you for giving us the privilege of your skills, your time, your talent, your emotions, which we value so much. And to our partners who, for the last 22 years, have entrusted NAMIC to develop your talent leaders. Thank you for entrusting us again to develop these future-ready leaders who are now ready to come in and lead and show the way. I have no doubt that in the next 3 or 4 months, you will circle back and let us know how they're doing. On behalf of NAMIC, our board, our leadership, thank you for the honor. Thank you for the privilege. We are so thrilled to have been with you, all 90 of you today, who are here to celebrate such major achievements. Thank you so much. To the cohort, we just had a bit of a private moment before we came on. I cannot wait to see where your tomorrow goes. I am just so glad that we had 25 hours of it in the entire journey to spend with you. Please keep us posted, come back, take a look at some of our other leadership programs. We're here for you. We can unabashedly say NAMIC is the best at developing the most diverse, forward-leaning, inclusive leaders, and we're honored to do that time and time again. So this is not goodbye. It is so long until the next one. See you soon, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Have a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving for those of you who celebrated. And do not forget to circle back. You can reach us at programs@namic.com. We'll be reaching out to your teams with more programs for the calendar year. And until then, Godspeed and see you soon. Bye. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Enjoy your holidays, whatever they may be, make the most of them. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, I have to end the week with thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.